next week over corruption-related charges. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO Halakhe Waqo on Wednesday told MPs that the commission had pieced together watertight evidence to nail the 6 and others from the various ministries and state agencies in the ongoing crackdown on graft. But even as this happens, remember there is a bill in Parliament seeking to disband the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, and this is on the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Bill that Aldai Member of Parliament Cornelis Serem, who's sponsoring it, seeks to, among other things, disband the EACC and look for tougher penalties for those found guilty of corruption. And in an exclusive interview, we now have Halakhe Waqo, the CEO of EACC, who's now joining us live from Nakuru. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you very much for speaking to us here on KTN News Desk. You appeared before the Senate Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. This bill is seeking to disband the EACC, of course, owing to the fact that, or an explanation of, there is nothing much this body is doing as far as protecting public resources in this country is concerned. What is your response to that?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. First of all, let me clarify or even correct you that there is a bill in Parliament seeking dissolution of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. There is no bill in any Parliament, there is no bill in National Assembly or the Senate. That is clearly confirmed even in our discussions yesterday. There's only an MP who has written a letter to the Speaker of the National Assembly to call in that direction. But that is their business. It's not mine, but mine is just to tell you that as a commission, we are working very hard. We've been working. Even historically, if you look at how far the performance of the commission has been reported, most of the times, good outputs have not been finding its way to the prominence and even sharing with the public. It's the negatives that have always been picked and amplified beyond its degree and status and circulated. But let me tell you one thing. We have achieved quite a lot, even in the last 11 months of this financial year. In 2013, if I may just take you even to the facts of our records, that the courts in total concluded about 5 cases, only 5, out of which 3 were convictions and 2 acquittals. In the year 2014-15, they concluded 11 in total. In 15-16, a few more, but in 16-17, we had 30 cases concluded in court. You can see the leap. Out of the 30, 25 were convictions. In this financial year so far, and we are not even through with it, we have so far 36 cases of convictions, and quite a number of them carry more than one person. So I can tell you we have over 60 people convicted in the last 11 months, including 2 private companies. We are showing a lot of increase in our output, and we also are working in other areas. Our recovery in the last 11 months between the cash and land recovered and the disruptions that we have registered, it's to the tune of 7.8 billion shillings. It's not mean, it's not small. So that shows that it's such an investment into the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission effort that we are showing as output. Now, the numbers of people that you have mentioned is increasing weekly. We so far have had 48 files which were forwarded to the DPP in the last 1 month or 5 weeks in total. That is not small, because even investigating one single file, especially a forensic financial investigation, including one to the volume of 3.2 billion shilling Ruaraka land case. One case, one project. So we have quite a number of cases. The value is so high, high-valued projects. Whether they are county-related investigations or national government ministries and departments, we are making effort and we are progressing. Every week, in the last few months, we've been processing a number of files and forwarded to the DPP, and will continue as we progress.
Yes, and you speak about the processing of files, and I like that you have given us the history. I just want to speak especially on what is of major concern, especially with Kenyans, that we get the big names involved in big corruption scandals in the country. The country, even at now, is witnessing very big corruption scandals that are minting billions of shillings from the taxpayers' coffers. I mean, but when it gets to conviction, we really do not see what I would term as a serious convictions as far as the big names of those who are more often than not termed as the perpetrators of these scams being netted by the anti-corruption agencies. Where is the missing link here?
There's nothing missing, and you are not right in that, because I want to tell you that even in the 35 cases we presented to the Senate yesterday, there were names of PSs like former PS Kirui, the likes of John Gakuo. There was MD of Port Mulewa, who was even, apart from the conviction, even being fined 87 million shillings. So don't be selective in your reporting. Number two, in the files that we have with the DPP, we reported in Parliament yesterday, we have people in high places like permanent secretaries, commissioners of commissions, and even county governors. Are those small people? If you talk about a county who is bigger than a governor, a ministry who is bigger than the accounting officer who is a PS, in a commission who is bigger than its topmost people like commissioners, and many directors at various levels. When convictions come out, of course, the court will look at the evidence, and also they will not just fetch people from streets just because they are big and announce them. But we have quite a number of them in court. You can remember even the previous themes. We take people to court based on the evidence we have. You know that we've been arraigning ministers in court, even as late as 2 weeks ago, the former minister Kamau and his team. The previous NYS case, we had the PS, we had the deputy, we had the director general of NYS and various others who have been charged, 29 people. So we are not looking for small people, we are looking for everybody, but we are also running away from the fallacy that people who have been perpetrating lower level corruption, like the ones some Kenyans would want to refer to as small scale perpetrators, as not small scale. For example, a traffic police officer who is said to be collecting 100 or 200 shillings on our highways is a small person. He is not. One of the police officers we had even recently been pursuing is a young man who is a motorcycle rider on one of our highways, whose accounts had over 40 million shillings, yet the salary he earns is 15,000 shillings per month. Can it accumulate to that much? So do not underrate the size or the office of an individual. It is about the volume of the trade. It is about what they collect. If you think that a chief who asks for 200 shillings from the young people who are asking for ID cards on a daily basis, from 10 of them is small, then that would be wrong, because the collection amounts to something. By the end of the year, it is in thousands, and you go across the country, it turns into millions and billions.
You've been talking about work you have been doing since 2013 as far as netting those who are involved in corruption cases in the country are concerned. But we continue to see a hemorrhage of public funds from embezzlement and corruption in various government agencies in the country. Do you think we need tougher measures, since you say that prosecutions are there and convictions are there, but it seems to be business as usual as far as corruption is concerned? Do we need tougher measures as far as graft is concerned?
We do. We do. But I also want to tell you that fighting corruption is beyond investigating and netting a few officers within a department, a ministry, or a county. Every accounting officer needs to be supervising his staff at whatever level, whether it is at county or national levels. Because the perpetrators are usually a web of people. It's usually a network of a process. It's not an isolated individual sitting somewhere and perpetrating. But the political action, most of the times, will impact even more yield. For example, if we have a county secretary or a county CEC identified of pushing some corruption web and is sacked, that is a major issue. If a PS or a director general somewhere is also sacked by the appointing authority up in the national government, it will have serious effect. One thing you need to know is that the investigating agencies have investigations mandate. The prosecutor prosecutes and they have that mandate. The court has adjudication mandate. But they do not have, collectively, we do not have supervisory mandate of ministries and departments. It's the institutions that are charged with the policy responsibility and the appointing authorities who have the responsibility of monitoring their staff and dealing with them. Even me, I have responsibility of monitoring staff at the commission. And where they don't take their business seriously or their work seriously, I have to be held responsible or accountable for that. So it is a collective thing. And we have to see beyond investigations and prosecution.
In the past, just quickly as we wrap it up, in the past we've seen the bodies mandated to deal with corruption not working very well. There's no synergy in terms of how all these agencies are working. Could you confidently now say that all these agencies mandated to clamp corruption are working in tandem?
It's public knowledge that in the last 2 years, we've had a multi-agency investigations and prosecution team working very closely, comparing notes, forming common teams, and attacking the problems jointly and together. It's also been a very new area of attention for us that we've been working closely with the judiciary. Even as late as, or as recent as 3 weeks ago, we've had a joint session of analyzing our ways of approaching the fight against corruption with the judiciary, the prosecution and investigation agencies in a closed-door workshop setup. So working together and synergy is improving, and we are making it better as we progress. And it can't work for any one organization or institution to run around on its own. It cannot be. It can always be very fruitful when we are jointly together. And all these products that I've shared with you, even in terms of the convictions that we've secured in court or the court conclusion of cases, it's because we are all together as we progress.
Thank you very much for making time to speak to us here on KTN News. The CEO for the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Halakhe Waqo, speaking to us live from Nakuru, saying there's nothing like small fish or big fish. They're going for everyone who is embroiled in a corruption scandal in this country. Once again, thank you for speaking to us. I want us to take a quick break here on KTN News Desk. We still have a lot more lined up for you here. So, of course, an update on the Moi Girls Nairobi election, on PTA members and the Board of Management, an update on the wreckage that has been found in Aberdares, and, of course, a confirmation of the 10 people who've died in that aircraft crash. And, of course, we will be seeing what's happening in the National Assembly. Don't go too far.